Hi, my name is Victor Martinez, and I chose to do my creative assignment on photography and Coro. I did my creative assignment in photography because photography is something that helps me de stress when I'm stressed out, when I have too much going on. And I also chose to do my creative assignment on Coro because Coro has changed my life and the way that of how I react towards depression. So everything started off when I started going to college. I was always having arguments with my dad. My dad was always pushing me to work. He didn't value the value of education. So in all, we were always arguing. So what I did to avoid that is I was spending extra time in the library studying. I would ask for extra hours at work. I would try to avoid going at home early at all cost. And then even like I would try to make it my goal to go arrive home around 11, and then I would also make it my goal to leave my house around 4 in the morning to go to school. After a while, I decided that the best option for me was to move out because I was always the little time that I did spend in my house. I was in my room. I was always there. So I decided to do something and I decided to move out of my apartment. At that time, I had just gotten graduated from Tarleton State University and I got a job for pathologist biomedical, a night job from 9 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. And so that only made things worse. So I was always feeling tired. I was also going to school 17 credit hours, so full time student. And so I was getting on average 2 to 3 hours of sleep per day. So that lasted around 3 months. I was getting really tired, and I decided that I could not be doing that, especially if I wanted to continue my education, especially since I wanted to prove my parents that getting an education was an important thing for me. So I quit my job, and then I decided to not work for 6 months. And then for those 6 months, I was paying my apartment. So in order to pay for my apartment, I had to get a student loan, and I was crunching on money like all the time, trying to not spend a lot of money. I was always I was depressed. Like I didn't go out as much because I didn't have money. So that brings to the point of what was the situation of what I was going through at that time. I was always depressed. So I constantly had suicidal thoughts. I was always lonely. And I always told myself that I had no friends. And I mean, it was because I was never available. Like, I was always working. I was always trying to get some time to study to be able to still do good in my classes. So as a result of my behavior change, I, um I was always, I mean, as maybe I explained it earlier, my behaviors. I was working extra hours. I spent extra hours in the library with to avoid my parents. After I moved out of the house, I still was doing the same thing. I was spending extra hours in the library over the weekends and sometimes in the afternoons to try to get some studying done because of my job. And then after I quit my job because I was already used to that lifestyle of working at night, like pretty much living through my life at night. I was going to the library at night, doing all my shopping at night. It's not sleeping much. After I quit my job, it took a while for me to adapt back to the um, normal schedule, like normal 20 daylight. Um, and then I started to spend money because I was using my student loan, so I was eating a lot of fast food. I don't know how to cook, and still till this day I don't know how to cook, but I'm trying to learn how to cook. So as a result, I started to eat a lot of fast food, and that brought more problems. That brought chest pain. I started coughing a lot, and then I was always tired, and that only worsened my depression. I started at that point in my life, I was trying to put myself to sleep since I had a lot of time. I wasn't working, and then I was only trying to study and focus on school. So the time that I didn't spend it on studying, I was putting myself to sleep. So I didn't like think too much about of what was going on with my life. Um, So, I mean, at that point, I met my friend Allie, and she convinced me to go to the doctor, so I did. The doctor diagnosed me as the depressed person, and at that time, I was like, "There's no such thing that depression can be cured by drugs." So I said no, I'm not gonna take drugs. So she advised me to think of other methods like going out to the park to de-stress myself or getting an animal. And so I decided to get an animal. And as you can tell on the video, his name is Coral. And I have tons of pictures of Coral. And I also, when I'm really stressed, I go out to downtown Dallas to take images of like the sky lobby on Chase Tower, or I'll take pictures of the bridges, which are not here. I pretty much just put pictures of my cat because he is the one that changed my life. Now, when I feel really depressed, he's the person, he's the being that I go to. Um, there was one time I was actually very sick, and I woke up throwing up, and then like I could not believe that my cat went up to me and rubbed his head on me, and that like completely changed everything. Like now, sorry, Koro is like, I would never get rid of him. He's very important to me, and I even had problems nowadays when my parents come to visit me because they're not okay with me having animals, and I basically told them, it's my decision. I want to have Koro in my life because he has changed everything. When I feel like I've had a stress day at work or a stress day at school, I look at pictures of him, and because it helps me feel better. And then I also go home and like pet him and spend some time with him because he helps me de-stress. It helps me feel better that like there's like a little creature looking for up to me. He depends on me. So yeah, I decided to do my creative assignment on photography with a whole bunch of pictures of Koro. And one of them is the one right here. This is the best one. I love. Like, he absolutely hates showers. He does not like them. And I mean, here's my project. Thank you.